Come on, let's give God some praise in this place. Amen. Our scripture today is Psalms 100. All the sounds a little bit low. Psalms 100. It reads like this. Shout for joy to the Lord, all the earth. Worship the Lord with gladness. Come before God with joyful songs. Know that the Lord is God. It is God who made us, and we are God's. Enter into his courts with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Give thanks to him and praise his name. For the Lord is good, and his love endures forever. His faithfulness continues through all generations. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading of his word. Let's go to the throne of grace and prayer. God, we thank you. We thank you. We thank you. We thank you. God, we thank you for this moment of opportunity to hear a word that will speak to our hearts, that will speak to our minds, and will strengthen us to become more of who you called us to be. These things we trust you for. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So I'm going to ask you to trust me with something. If you have the ability to stand, I'm going to ask you to stand up on your feet. You have hands that move, okay? This is a ritual we've done here before, but I want you to wipe off any and everything that would be attempting to hinder you in worship. Anything on your foot that you walked in here with, anything in your ears, anything in your eyes, anything in your mouth, anything in your mind. I want you to release it. I want you to hold it for just a second. Now, I know Thursday was the United States version of a day called Thanksgiving. And it's an example or of a moment in history for us in the yearly calendar that we're supposed to be thankful. We're supposed to say thank you for this, and we're supposed to celebrate with family because we are aware on this one day in late November that maybe God has been good. My God. Maybe. I can't speak for everybody. And so then after Thanksgiving, we come to worship, and maybe we're bloated and tired and eating too much. And nevertheless, in the midst of all of that, God has been what? Good. Amen. And so I'm going to invite you one more time to anything that might be preventing you from acknowledging how good God is, that you let it go. And if we could just take just a few minutes, if you're able, to act like God has been good. Hallelujah! God, we need you right now.
Yes.
We need you to reign in this place like never before. God, we need your spirit to move through every pew, through every experience, through everything we're holding right now. We need you, God, to be manifest in us and through us, so that in seeing you, we may see ourselves. God, right now, we yield everything to you because we can't do it without you. We yield our thoughts to you. We yield our will to you. We yield our wants and our desires to you.
Right now, God.
And we're mindful in this moment to say, have your way. Have your way, Jesus. Have your way, God, in the things we're worried about right now. Have your way, God, in the things we're trying to fix on our own right now. Have your way, God, in the things we've been stressing about way too long. Have your way, God, in the burdens we've been carrying when we don't need to carry them. Have your way, God, when our thoughts are so clouded that we can't see how good you've been. We ask you to have your way. Have your way for family members, God, that we're yearning and desiring you to bless. Have your way for people that we're concerned about, because we know that if you don't step in, God, the situation will just become more worse. We ask you to have your way. Have your way in the things that we are already saying we're going to change in 2018, but we don't know if we're going to make it to 2018. So give us the will to change it right now in the name of Jesus. God, every stronghold, every chain, every bondage, God, we rebuke that thing right now in the name of Jesus. Anything that's holding us back, anything that's trying to imprison us, we cast it out right now in the name of Jesus. Anything standing in the way of our blessing from you, we claim and decree and declare it has no power and no authority and will go nowhere. This we believe. This we say to an all-knowing, all-loving, all-seeing God. And the people of God said, thank God.
Thank God.
Amen. Let's give God one last praise. Hallelujah. The sermon topic today is very simple. Celebrating God's faithfulness.
Oh, yeah.
Celebrating God's faithfulness. This may not be apparent to you, and maybe you're not aware, but there are churches all over the United States that got together to worship today, and nowhere in the service was celebration allowed. There is a ritual. There was a set way of doing things, and it usually needed to fit within about 50 minutes. And when the things that were said were read out loud and the service continued, people packed up themselves and they went home. There was no option and no opportunity for celebration. What makes Liberation United Church of Christ unique is that we try to blend our understanding of a progressive justice with some good old celebration. Come on. We try to bring to the surface a sense of that there is a living God. And because there is a living God, then I believe that God desires that we are awake and alive in our interaction with this God. So celebrating God's faithfulness is an invitation to you to allow yourself to begin to understand, to name and proclaim where in your life has God been faithful to you. Not where you've been faithful, because we'll try to stretch that out, but I'm asking, where has God been faithful to you? Where has God truly made a way for you? Where has God opened the windows of heaven and truly poured you out a blessing that, if you're honest, you did not have room to receive, nor could you have ever anticipated that it would have happened in that way? Each and every one of us has a testimony. Something we've gone through, and we've seen the light of God shining so brightly in the midst of it, and we made it on the other side. This season of Advent, next Sunday is the first Sunday in Advent. And what does Advent mean? Advent means, in the liturgical calendar of the church, a season of waiting. Waiting. Well, what are we waiting for? In its pure form, we're waiting for the entrance of the Christ child into the world. We're waiting for this light to come into the world. So over 2,000 years ago, there was this waiting this waiting for the Messiah to enter into the world. And so we replicate that seasonally every year, where in the month of December, sometimes the last Sunday in November, we start waiting. Waiting until Christmas, waiting for Jesus. Saints, this is what I want to tell you. The liturgical calendar is based off of us mimicking something that we know better than. We're supposed to know better than we're not really waiting for Jesus. We're not really waiting for the light, because the light has already come into the world.
Thank God.
So seasonally, you're supposed to be emulating the fact that many years ago, folks had to wait for Jesus to come. Here is the problem. We're not just mimicking Advent, we're living it every day of our lives. It is as if somewhere along the way we picked up a pair of sunglasses, put them on, and now we only see the darkness, as if Jesus never came into the world. The invitation to us during this season is to remember that Jesus has indeed come. And the purpose of Jesus' coming was that any form of darkness you began to know in the depths of your soul that it could be cast out immediately.
Yes.
Not in 5 to 10 years, not in a second administration, but in the midst of the trouble that you're in right now, God will be light. He said, I will be a light that shineth in the uttermost darkness. When everything is roses, when everything is sunshine, when everything is great, sometimes it's hard to differentiate what we've done versus what God has done. Sometimes it's hard to differentiate that the Spirit of the living God is shining, but we are living in a time that we're being invited on a daily basis to find, to seek out, to lift up the signs of a living and an alive God. If we're not careful, we will permanently put on the sunglasses. We will permanently only see what's not working. We will only see consistent and constant pain. And God's faithfulness will be like a distant memory. We will last see God's faithfulness when God was helping the children of Israel cross the Red Sea, because it's as if God ain't crossing or parting the waters in our lives. If we're not careful, we will only see God delivering Abraham and Sarah, but it doesn't have anything to do with me, because God ain't making no miracles in my life. We have to open up our understanding, because when you have on the sunglasses, it blocks out the sun. When you have on the sunglasses of pain, it blocks out that God is blessing you. When you have on the sunglasses of worry, you forget that God is already making a way out of no way. When you have on the sunglasses of lack, you cannot see that God has already filled your storehouse, only if you could open your eyes to see. About 21 years ago, down the street from my grandmother's house was a grocery store that closed probably before I was born. So this grocery store, for the most part, was an abandoned building. Across the street from that grocery store was a gas station. The gas station was also abandoned. Next door to that was another place that also was some former thing that somehow became dilapidated. So at 14 years old, I got my grandmother, my great aunt, my cousins, as many of my family members as I could, and you knew I grew up in the Church of God in Christ, so we believed in something called blessed oil, which is what you anoint yourself with every Sunday. And we marched from my grandmother's house to that abandoned grocery store, to the abandoned gas station, to the abandoned other store. And I told them, I need you to just have faith and walk with me. And so they did. And I took the blessed oil and I started pouring it all around the building, all around the gas station, all around the other store. And what I told God was, one day I want to pastor a church where we own our own grocery store, where we own our own gas station, where we own our own coffee shops, and we own all this stuff. Literally, at 14, I saw a vision of something When I was in college, I used to tell my friend, they were like, oh my God, you're trying to create this thing, which they used to call the chate. They were like, the church state, it's like the church is running everything that the state should be running. Is this a cult? What are you trying to do? And I told them, no, I have this vision that a church is truly involved in its community, so much so that it actually has businesses that people sow into and that they invest in. And when somebody comes to the church and says, I don't have a job, you say, what kind of work do you want to do? You want to be trained in how to work at a coffee shop? You want to be trained in how to be a hostess? You want to be trained in how to do that? Let's give you a job. Can you show up to work tomorrow? Because we got a spot just for you. And so as the people learn and then they get the skill set, then they go on and do something else. But they will never forget that not only did the church give me the word, but they gave me a way forward. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yes.
So over and over again, now why at 14 did God plant this vision in me that I had no idea how it would manifest? But he did. And my family loved me enough to follow this little 14-year-old down to the street and march around the building with me as I proclaimed that it would be so. Fast forward from that 14-year-old's dream to starting this church. When I first was starting Liberation, a seasoned, ordained clergy woman met with me. She invited me to lunch, and her and I sat down. And she said, listen, you are young, you come from a very important church in the United States. It's a significant Black Pentecostal church, and the truth of the matter is they will never receive you if you are preaching this inclusion thing that you're talking about. Now, I understand it and I support it, but I promise you, if you do this, your church will never grow. Ministry won't ever really be able to come out of it. And in Seattle, nobody will really support it. And I don't want you to be hurt. So I'm trying to help you before you spend years of your life doing something that will never really go anywhere. So I said, okay, what would you have me do? She says, well, here's what I think you should do. I think you need to stay in the Church of God in Christ. You don't have to get married, because a lot of them ain't married anyway. And build your church as big as it possibly could be. Raise as much money as you possibly can, but don't exactly tell them everything you're thinking. And when you get enough money and enough status and enough members, then you can come out and do whatever you want to do. Because money will talk more than their theology.
Wow. Ouch.
Now, Liberation was started right after almost a year after my 25th birthday. So here I am, newly 25, with this big vision for a church. 9 years earlier, I'm anointing buildings and talking about what God is going to do and how God is going to stretch. And now I'm in this place where I'm ordained and I'm ready to do God's work. And a seasoned saint of God comes to sit down to me and tell me it would be better if you lied first. It would be better if you hid first. It would be better if you buried a part of who you are first. Because if you do all of that first, then you can come through the back doors. Come on, do you hear what she was inviting me to? Then you come through the back door, and maybe if you come through the back door as a second-class citizen, God might just bless you enough to be able to come through the front door.
Oh, Lord.
Celebrating God's faithfulness. Thankfully, in the middle of that time at 25, I had enough people who were willing to stop by to tell me it's possible. It's possible. Don't give up. Don't go through the back door when God has already opened the front door for you. You don't have to go through the side way because God will make a way out of no way. You don't have to follow somebody else's path because God will create a path that is uniquely for you and your call. Celebrating God's faithfulness. What she was offering me was some sunglasses. And she was telling me, baby, put them on, and then you won't see what God is doing. You won't see that I'm about to open up a church for you to just go worship at rent-free, a multi-million-dollar place. Forget that I'll send people who were about to take their life, but somehow they found this place and they decided to persist. Forget about the year after year you would bless people with a small congregation that does more than a church that has 2,000 members sitting every single Sunday, and folks are worried about protecting their building as opposed to helping the poor.
Yes.
You hear what I'm saying?
Yes.
There will be people who will fly from all over the world to just sit in your worship service because it's the first place they've ever found in their life where they could be celebrated for being their authentic self. With no judgment, with no backhand gospel, with no come on baby, we welcome you so I could slap your face the next few Sundays. But she told me, come through the back door. She told me lie. She told me hide. And in the middle of that, somehow, God would be faithful. Somebody's told you to lie. They told you to hide. They told you to bury a little bit of yourself.
Yes.
To put it someplace else for now. Because this isn't the season and this is not the hour. But baby, I'm here to tell you, this is your season. This is your day. And this is your hour.
Yes.
And you were never waiting on God. God was waiting on you.
Yes. That's the truth.
This past week, as you know, when we got the $40,000 grant,
Yes.
that was this partnership grant. And I shared with you last Sunday that everything they said about it being a miracle church and everything else. And I was sitting there thinking about, well, why now? Why now? Why was it all of a sudden in this 10th year that all of a sudden we got ourselves together to apply for the grant? Why is it that in this year the Lord planted people in this congregation that would give sizable enough donations that we would start to get a significant amount of that grant money right away?
Yeah.
Why was it that all of a sudden other avenues were open where I know that I can ask people to bless this ministry over the next few years in thousands of dollars, and I believe that they will? Why is it at this point that I know each of you will think about your own finances and ask yourself, how do I sow into this ministry to work? Why is it now in this year that as I was driving down Rainier Avenue today, I started to see more spaces for sale and open than maybe I had seen in the past few months? I don't know. But what I know is that I believe that in 2018, this church can raise over $100,000 with that matching grant. Do you hear what I'm saying? I believe that in this season of our being, we can begin to imagine who Liberation, not only United Church of Christ, but Liberation LLC will be. Do you hear what I'm saying? Or Liberation, the nonprofit that not only does worship on a Sunday, but also has welfare to work programs.
Yes.
I thought about, wow, this church will have a band, a full, authentic worship band. And you know where the people who play in that band will come from? They're going to come from the youth that we teach music every single summer for low-income families for free. And so they will love this church so much, and they will appreciate how much this church sowed into them, that as they get older, they'll want to be here on Sunday playing the violin and the oboe and playing every potential instrument, and they'll be on the organ and on the piano. Why? Because at 14, I began to anoint buildings that weren't exactly the building, but I was saying to God, my intention to do what God wanted me to do. And then at 14, though you didn't know me and I didn't know you, God was already creating in you a desire to be connected to a vision that was bigger than maybe you ever thought you would be a part of. I was sitting in a meeting earlier this week. And every pastor was introducing themselves, and I said, oh, you know, whatever my name is, and I'm pastoring church here in Everett and in Seattle. And this black woman was sitting at the table, and she said, are you Casey Tree yet? Are you helicoptering to the churches? Or are you driving? And how many churches will you have beyond just those two? And she, at first I thought she was joking and being facetious, but I realized because she didn't blink and she did not, she was literally asking, how big is your vision? Wow. What do you want to see occur? And if I wasn't careful, if I just had my glasses on, I would have thought she was trying to belittle me, but she was asking me, are you bold enough to speak into existence what you want right now?
Okay.
Are you bold enough to talk? Now, I don't want to be that particular person and their theology and everything else.
Yes.
But I believe that maybe there's a part of this journey that we're supposed to build together, that you can drive up and down the I-5 corridor, and if you're looking for an inclusive church where people
Yes.
praise and magnify the God and allow you to be exactly who you are, you might find more than just one Liberation United Church of Christ. You know what I'm saying? We have the ability to do that. But in order to do that, as a congregation, we have to learn to celebrate God's faithfulness. We have to take off the blinders and no longer see small crumbs, but see the foundational pieces of lifelong ministry. Yes. On Thursday night, my mom and my nephews were at Everett United Church of Christ. We were serving in their Thanksgiving meal. And you've heard me talk about this multiple times, but I'm walking around with Jaden, and Jaden is like running the show at this church. He's running around picking up spoons and cups and managing everything. And even when I told him at 3, please don't pick up the heavy juice because you might spill it, I turned my back and he was already at the table picking up the juice to let me know, Uncle, it's not heavy. I got this. And so there was a moment where I realized I really couldn't contain him because he was running his own thing. And I watched him manage and take care of things, and I had explained to him very simply, you know, like, let's check each table and see if people need water or juice or whatever. And he was literally going up to tables. You need water? You need juice? You need water? You need juice? And then when people were finished, he was even going up to them. You're done? Wait, I said, wait, let people finish. People admitted. Anyway, so he was doing that thing. And then we went into the sanctuary. And my 3-year-old nephew, you know exactly where he ran. Straight to the pulpit.
Yes.
Not only did he run straight to the pulpit, but he ran right in front of the podium. And then he declared to my mother and to his brother, Uncle, I have something to say. I have something to say. If my vision is small, I will discount him. I will think, isn't that cute? This little boy, this stuff is happening. Maybe he watched it on one of his shows, or maybe his parents educated him enough about being a good little boy that he knew how to do it. If my vision is big enough about God's faithfulness, then I see God preparing him for ministry already. I see you having the vision enough to know how to serve God's people, how to clean off tables for God's people, how to get cups for God's people, how to make sure that everything is going okay. And I didn't see him get tired. He didn't say, I'm done, I want to just go play. He was just like, what's next? How do I serve next? I was telling my sister and brother-in-law, I was in the shocked phase. I was sitting in my office and I asked my nephews, what can we do to make the people tonight feel good? You guys have a house, you guys have warm food, but what can we do to help the people who don't have a place, who don't have food? And he said, Uncle, I want to feed the people and give them a place to sleep. And I thought to myself, how does he know at 3 to feed the people and give them a place to sleep? What I love is his language at 3 didn't say those people. Them. He said the people.
Yes.
I want to feed the people and give them a place to sleep. Vision works like that. Vision shows up in packages that are too small and that you could easily look over and dismiss. Vision shows up in who should be doing something versus who shouldn't be, because you wouldn't think that a 3-year-old would come and be able to clean up the entire dinner bell that fed over 150 people on Thursday, and yet he was the chief leader, to the point that the adults began to move out of the way and put the stuff back on the table because they realized that Jaden had taken care of. Do you hear what I'm saying? That's how God works. God takes this small little thing inside of you that if you're not careful, you would just dismiss and push aside. And God says, it is that thing that I want you to sow into. I want you to breathe into. I want you to bless and nurture. And let me tell you this, if we are smart enough as a church to nurture the gift of God in Him, pretty soon I'm going to be able to sit down because you will have to bless to.
Yes.
This is what we're called to do. So just like Jaden at 3, I want you to see your church as this little 10-year-old thing. This 10-year-old thing that wants to go and bless people. This 10-year-old thing that wants to go serve people. This 10-year-old thing that wants to come and welcome people so that they may have a place at the table that they never had before. That your church wants to walk up to people and say, do you need something to drink? Do you need something to eat? Do you need some clothing? Do you need a job? Do you need greater education? Do you need any of that? And if we are mindful over the small things, come on somebody out there. God said, I'll make you ruler over many. Hallelujah. I am not just about coming to worship every single Sunday with the same group of people. What I'm about is changing the consciousness about what worship is.
Yes.
Changing the concept about what church is. Changing the understanding of worship. Now, what we've already done for a 3-year-old Jaden is his understanding of worship is a church of multicultural people. His understanding of worship transcends sexuality.
Yes.
His understanding of worship transcends maybe what some traditional church may have told us it's supposed to be. He sees right before him great diversity, and whether or not he planned on that in his 3-year-old mind, it's imprinting something that church will always look a little bit more extravagant to him than for many of us we ever got the chance to see.
Yes, yes, yes.
And the Spirit of the Lord says, how dare you not create a space so that people like Jaden have a place to grow up in whole, healthy, and secure in who God is making them to be. Celebrating God's faithfulness, it means that you see how important you are in this season. That you see that you are part of a beginning. That I hope, and maybe I'm crazy, but that 50 years from now, people will talk about that initial group of people who came together and saw God's faithfulness enough and built this unlimited overflow of what God was able to do. And their kids were educated in that. And they had their first jobs through that. And they understood worship through that. That is what we could build together. If you didn't know, that is what you are building together. Celebrate God's faithfulness to you to have you be here. And honor that faithfulness with figuring out what you will steward in this next journey.
Yes.
Now, here's what I also know to be true. When you're really serious, you start talking about what you want to do, and you start putting it out there, and even if you're afraid, and even if people look at you like, well, what can you really do? And is your church really ready? And do you have the money to do all that? And y'all are talking a big game. You start talking about it because you see God.
Yes.
And you know that anytime there is something that seems impossible, God shows up to make it actually possible.
Yes.
Anytime that you think that something is intangible, God distinctly makes it tangible. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is possible when you are ready to step into the light.
Yes.
Literally, step into the light. So this week, I want you, every time you want to tell somebody something bad happened to you, something you're frustrated about, something that's getting on your last nerve, something you wish ain't gonna happen, or when you get ready to let somebody know how you won't be doing X in 2018 because it's that season now. We got a whole month to gripe about everything that happened in 2017 and lie to ourselves about how we ain't gonna let it happen in 2018 with no change. Every time that happens for you this week, I want you to celebrate God's faithfulness instead. Every time you want to share, this is now my, just say God has been faithful to me. Yes. Every time you, but this didn't work, God has been faithful to me. I wish this, but God has been faithful to me. Yes. And if as a church, our little group of people start talking about God's faithfulness like that, and then we encounter other people, they're going to want to know, what is wrong with you? In the middle of everything that's going on, you keep talking about God's faithfulness, and before you know it, the contempt or fear of what you're going on will turn into an interest to want to come and be a part of whatever it is that you are doing. There are people who can support the vision that we have as a church. There are people who have. And they're not the only ones. This is the first grant that we will receive as Liberation United Church of Christ. The first one.
First of many.
It's not the last. It's the first
Yes.
of many that will come after this, because the world will honor what you all have chosen to invest in, how you've chosen to change an urban environment with love and God's extravagant welcome, and people will run to support that.
Yes, yes.
Run to be a part of it. So our prayer for you today is that you find God's goodness in you, that you see it when you look at yourself in the mirror, that you realize that you're worthy of nothing less than God's faithfulness. And so you are only a part of things, that you see that God is moving and blessing and stretching, that you see your value so that you can see the value of the things you're connected to, the people that God is connecting you to, the vision that God is connecting you to, and we do this thing together. Let's give God some praise for his word. God, you have been faithful. In this church, where we needed jobs, you've given us jobs.
Yes.
When we needed education, you blessed us with degrees. When we wanted to start businesses, you blessed us with clients that we didn't even know existed. When we said we needed promotions, you made a way out of no way for that. When we asked you for a church, you somehow drove us to this place, even when we didn't know the exact address. When we thought about ending our life, you provided a way for us to show up here and be encouraged to press on a little bit longer. When we wanted to know where we could bring our kids that they may see themselves, you provided this place. Where will I sing? Where will I play and use my gifts? Where will I pray for people? Where will I preach? Where will I be affirmed? You created this space. Expand it. Enlarge it, God. Renew us, invigorate us, and set us on fire like you never have done before. These things we trust you for in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.